Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wandering Art Historian YouTube channel. My name is Adrienne Lee. You know me as the Wandering Art Historian. I'm back with another very special web series for all of you, and I'm so excited to share some new artwork with you. This series is a follow-up to a previous web series titled A Closer Look at Famous Paintings, and this is part 2. So welcome back for this web series. Now you already know that the Wandering Art Historian is on YouTube because that's what you're watching right now as we speak. But did you further know that the Wandering Art Historian is also a blog? Yes, I hope that you will please check out the Wandering Art Historian blog at the web address that you see on your screen. There's over 400 blog posts for you to check out with all kinds of super fun art historical information. And did you further know that I also teach in-depth art history classes online via Zoom? Did you know that? Well, now you do. And in fact, those classes are kind of the inspiration for part 2 of this web series, A Closer Look at Famous Paintings. What you can expect to see is that with these videos, you're going to get kind of an hors d'oeuvre, if you will, or a bite-size, fun-size version of some of the things that we discuss in my online classes. So, if you've taken a class with me in the past, this will be a great refresher. And if you've never taken a class with me, this is kind of like an introduction, if you will. One of my very popular classes is a 4-week intensive look at the life and the legacy of Vincent van Gogh. And that is the inspiration for this episode of the web series. In fact, we're going to look at 2 paintings today. We're going to look at Vincent van Gogh's chairs, painted while he was in the south of France in Arles in 1888. So this video gives you 2 wonderful paintings, and we're going to take a much closer look. So let's get to it. What's really cool about these 2 paintings is that, honestly, it's just furniture, right? When we think of Vincent van Gogh, we often think of sunflowers or A Starry Night or The Night Cafe. Those are some of his big, most famous paintings, and all of those were painted when he was living in the south of France in Arles. However, I have a personal affinity for these 2 paintings because they really shed a lot of light on how Vincent van Gogh saw himself and how he saw his friend Paul Gauguin. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Well, we've got 2 chairs here, okay? And believe it or not, one is Van Gogh's chair and one is Gauguin's chair. Can you tell which one is which? Okay, let's read these 2 paintings together to get a closer look, okay? So let's look at the painting on the right, the left here. Let's point out a couple of really interesting features. The fact that it's a pretty simple, everyday chair, something that you might see in a kitchen or at a breakfast nook or what have you. It's got a straw seat, pretty run-of-the-mill, pretty standard. Also, do you notice it's kind of sitting on some tile, a tile floor here? Maybe something that you might see in like a dining room or a kitchen area, okay? There's also a door here. That's the hinge that you see here right next to the seat of the chair. So I'm kind of thinking maybe it's in a kitchen area or a place where somebody cleans vegetables and then has breakfast or what have you. Also kind of implies with how bright this painting is that it's daytime when this painting exists, right? And what's really cool is you've got this great little symbol here of Vincent's pipe with a little bit of tobacco. So Vincent is really laying things out. He's like, this is my chair. It's pretty standard. It's not fancy. It's daytime. I hang out in the kitchen or what have you. Any place with a lot of light so that I can paint. Okay, great. But do you notice something about the color and what color really stands out? Yeah, that's pretty obvious. This beautiful yellow, which is, of course, closely associated with Vincent van Gogh. He lived in the yellow house. However, of course, Vincent is wildly aware of symbolism and the deep meanings behind symbols and colors in art and literature. And what we also have to keep in mind is that yellow is sometimes associated with betrayal. We often see the figure of Judas in religious artwork depicted in yellow. Yikes, red flag. And it's also associated with madness. Madness. Now I know what you're thinking. Is Vincent about to go mad or what have you? Well, that's a strong word. But what I would say is that both of these paintings were painted in December of 1888, which incidentally is also the month in which we have Vincent's ear incident. Yeah, okay. So we have a sense of how Vincent sees himself with the way in which he has depicted his chair. Now compare that to how he sees his friend, Paul Gauguin. Okay, so first of all, obviously, it's a much fancier chair. And not only that, it has armrests and a very cushy padded seat. Okay, very interesting. The chair sits on what looks to be a carpet or a rug or a tapestry that may be on the floor, kind of signifying definitely not the kitchen or the dining room, right? Maybe a seating area, like a fancier parlor or what have you, or a study. We know that the yellow house wasn't super big, but at least this chair is sitting in a nicer part of the house. What else do we see? Notice it's kind of an overall darker color scheme, and with two lights lit in the scene, one on the wall and a candle on the seat of the chair, definitely suggests nighttime. Okay, very interesting. You're starting to see, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, so what else? On the seat of this chair, not Vincent's pipe and tobacco, two books. Now we know Vincent was an avid reader, but what I think this really signifies is Vincent's perception of Gauguin as being somewhat elevated, almost like a mentor or a teacher. And that is definitely how he viewed Gauguin, as the master painter from whom he would learn. Okay. What else? The colors, these muted reds and these beautiful green colors, complementary colors on the color wheel. So what we see here when you see them side by side is how, not only how Vincent sees himself, but how he sees Gauguin. Now, why is this important? Well, as I said, both of these paintings were painted in December of 1888. Vincent's ear incident takes place around Christmas time, and as we know, what art historians believe sparked that ear incident is an argument between Vincent and Gauguin, because number one, they did not get along. Their personalities were exact opposites and they clashed repeatedly, and Gauguin was getting ready to leave not just the yellow house, but Arles for good. That sent Vincent into a tailspin, and it would make sense because, of course, he holds Gauguin in high esteem, as you can see comparing the two chairs, right? Gauguin's is fancy, Vincent's is plain and everyday, right? So with that in mind, it could suggest that hearing the news of Gauguin's leaving, because he held him in such high regard, was devastating to Vincent, sending him into a tailspin and thus resulting in a tragic incident of the removal of his ear. Okay. Please think about all of these events and all of these wonderful symbols and colors that Vincent has infused into these two paintings. And let me tell you, you'll never look at chairs the same way again. These chairs carry a lot of weight, a lot of feeling, and a lot of emotion. But of course, that's our Vincent, right? Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for coming back for yet another web series with me, Adrienne Lee, the Wandering Art Historian. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment, share this video with your friends, family, neighbors, whomever you think might be interested in learning a little bit more about art history. And of course, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the Wandering Art Historian YouTube channel. My name is Adrienne Lee. You know me as the Wandering Art Historian, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.